Scott, can you take us through a realistic scenario of a screenwriter pitching an idea to an executive? Where does it begin?
Usually, it takes a good amount of schmoozing to get the meeting in the first place. So there is a lot of, sort of getting your foot in the door professionally. When the meeting actually is secured, it usually starts at log lines. Usually an executive on the other side of the room is looking for specific types of programs. They'll be kind of overly specific in terms of they want mysteries about XYZ, they want romances about ABC, and they'll sort of walk you through very clear-cut expectations of what they're looking for in a project. And they're usually looking for a list of log lines or very, very short synopses, like 100, 200 words. And that's usually done by email, honestly. When you do secure the meeting, and in today's world, it's almost usually Zoom or some kind of a teleconference, you just sort of walk through those ideas a bit. But it's really much more about sussing out who you are, what you bring to the table, how many variations of the same thing you can sort of deliver upon, in the hopes of maybe not just doing a one-time deal, but actually building more of a relationship and a partnership so that you can sort of get repeat business with a client.
So you've already been vetted before you're doing a Zoom meeting.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it's not just a blind pitch where someone wants to do their sort of hometown story and they don't really know the person. They've kind of gone through the proper channels.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's to get that meeting, the process to sort of reach that, it's if you find a company that's willing to look at content from new people, that's pretty critical. So that can be, you can reach out to people via LinkedIn, you can reach out to them, online, you can do enough research and find their contact details, or at least some general, info at XYZ company kind of email someplace. And those will actually get reviewed and read. I'm not saying there's a real high turnover in that, but it's people do evaluate that. And if there is something there that sort of matches a general sort of feel of what the company looks for, if it sort of matches the brand and what that company delivers to the market, you usually will have somebody reach out. And it's not just one script. They're looking for people who sort of can deliver high output. Somebody who's coming to the table not just with one screenplay and that's what they have. They want somebody who has 3 screenplays or 5 screenplays. Not that they'd read them all, but they just sort of want to know that this is a writer who can deliver, who is kind of a writing machine, so to speak, and can just keep getting new versions, as I said, sort of the same thing, of the same kind of genre out there.
What's the bare minimum experience someone has to have to pitch in Hollywood?
You need to be able to show that you've sort of done the work, in a sense. The catch-22 when starting out, for anybody starting out in a career, is you have 0 professional experience, but the people on the other side of the table want to see that you've done something. They'll look you up on IMDb, they'll look you up your general sort of online presence to get a sense of who you are. And if you're trying to break into writing or something creative, it's actually quite challenging because if you don't have those credits in place, sort of how do you prove that? What's fun about today, which is very different than 20 years ago, 30 years ago, is that anybody can kind of create their own website and can sort of present themselves very professionally through any number of social media outlets. So you can sort of create your own personalized brand via a website or something else. And even if you have no professional credits, you can sort of showcase some of the styles that you work within, some of the writing samples that you have, and sort of present yourself that way. I think having that sort of presence is a great start. And then I would say you sort of need I call it like a critical mass of materials to be able to show. And that would be, like, if you want to be a screenwriter, my personal advice is you need at least 2 scripts, if not 3, that would be the ideal. And you need about 5 to 10, like, ready to go, fleshed out log line ideas. And a log line being, 75 words to 100 words. Concepts that do show that beginning, middle, end concept of a movie. And I think that with that, you're sort of coming to the table with a good amount of volume and a professional background. That's enough sort of to secure that meeting and sort of get that process going. So if you're going to markets, if you're going and just sort of cold emailing people, so to speak. Not everyone's going to immediately turn and respond right away, but you might get 15% that do. And if they do, they can quickly sort of dive in there and see that, no, this person sort of has potential. Let's see what they can deliver on. Let's see what their log lines are like. Let's see what a synopsis looks like. Maybe they'd be willing to write on spec. And writing on spec in this case would mean, hey, we're doing 20 movies a year and the network will only buy from us if there's a script, and we don't want to put out X number of dollars to get a script that may never get greenlit. So what if we worked with a writer on spec? We can get the screenplay for a lower amount up front, and then if the green light takes place, the writer gets the remainder of the money. And it's a great opportunity for new writers especially to sort of get their foot in the door, really show a track record with a distribution company or production company, multiple. They don't have to be exclusive, and really start, kickstarting their career.
Okay, and so what if they've done their homework on the production company, they know that they're going to be pitching a similar genre, they have 5, let's say, scripts ready to go, they have other ideas, but the thing that's going to get them is their IMDb only shows like short films, but they've actually done rewrites, but it's not reflected in their IMDb. Because we hear that a lot in comments, well, this person hasn't done anything, but they actually have, it just isn't reflected in their IMDb. How do they kind of handle that, work around that?
I mean, on my side of the industry, I work very much on the business side, and there's like a fraction of the titles I've actually worked on in a creative capacity, a development capacity, a distribution capacity. I don't have my name on those films, and that's how most of us are on our side, in distribution, in development. We don't get credits all the time, and so you showcase it in other ways. Basically, it's much more about the deals I've closed and sort of the contacts that I have. Our business is really built on relationships. So I think that if you're a newer writer or somebody who does have experience, it's about cultivating the relationships. My real view, it's like such an old saying, but it's like, it's really, this industry is built on relationships. It's about who you know. That's enough to sort of sometimes get a door open, but that's not necessarily going to land the deal or get your first opportunity going. And that's all on your own shoulders. And that's actually, it's a little bit scary in a sense, but in truth, like, you have the most control over that, because you can come into the room with the right kinds of scripts, with the right sorts of ideas, with the right personal presentation, in the sense of being a professional and wanting to work and willing to put in the work to get it done.